It would help if I switched my mic on, wouldn't it? Hello, folks. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm churning through all of these essays. I'm trying to get them all marked and finished so I can have a nice, easy Thursday and Friday. It's going quite well, to be honest with you, at the moment. We're getting there. We are getting our way through them. And yeah, hope your working week's going just as well as mine. And if it's not, then, I hope Hobby Nightmares can pull you out of it somewhat. If you think any of your friends, or maybe even yourself if you're not subscribed, will get some stuff out of my videos, will get some joy out of my videos, then please make sure you share it. We are on our way to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you can help me get there, that would mean an incredible amount to me. I love you so much for doing so. Thank you so much for helping me. Also, if you like what I do, the Patreon is down below. Become a member of the channel if you want to support the channel financially. All the pints you get me of a weekend when I can go out and I can be like, hey, I can take somebody out of my family or take my granddad for lunch and stuff and just be like, hey, here's a pint on me. It's from Patreon, that kind of thing. I love saying stuff like that. Because without you guys, most of the time I work really hard, but I have life to pay for. You guys help me do stuff. Like, I can actually go and say, hey, do you want to go for lunch? Cool, I can take my mother for lunch. If it's not one thing, lads, if it's not one thing, it's your mother, right? Anyway, I'll get on with some Hobby Nightmares, shall we? I'll stop waffling. So, Cheese says, fun fact, right? Fun fact, Northern Exile, me, I don't like cheese. Yeah, I don't really like cheese. I've just talked my way out in a single sentence of a lot of Patreon supporters, but it is what it is. I've just never really gotten on with cheese. What do you guys like with it? Am I weird for not liking cheese? I've always been told I'm strange for not liking cheese. My go-to was if I was dating somebody who really liked cheese. They'd say, so you don't like pizza? And I'd say, no, not really, it's got cheese on it. And they were like, oh, God. And I'd go, hey, it's more pizza for you. And they go, oh, yeah, that's true. Right, so that was a good little litmus test of if they were sound or not, if they were cool or not. Anyway, Cheese says, hey North, Cheese here. Hope all is well in Exile Land. Yes, it's going pretty well, thank you. After being an avid listener for months, possibly a year, I've lost track at this point. I finally have my own, probably Friday episode, Hobby Nightmare to contribute. Well, it fits in on a Wednesday. It fits into this one because you do mention the hobby quite a lot. I am a battle brother of the Black Templars. I got into the hobby in 3rd edition initially. As a 90s skate and punk kid with a hard-on for sci-fi and airfix kits, I was blown away by the John Blanche artwork on the 3rd edition box in my local model store, and it is still my favourite piece of artwork ever. I drifted away from the hobby for over 10 years. But the new Kill Team trailer appeared in my YouTube feed over the pandemic time, and after a quick chat with a pal who still collected 40k, a box of paint and intercessors were ordered, and I haven't looked back since. I want to keep this quite high level, as I know we've heard many variations of the same tale before. I wanted my story to be a sort of case study in what this channel and the message you're spreading has done for me personally, and can hopefully do for others. I apologise if it becomes a bit rambly, therapy-esque brain dump, but here we go, alright? I think every nightmare we do is a therapy-esque brain dump. I don't think you have anything to worry about. In short, I'm 31, I live in sunny England, and I've been in a long-term relationship for the past 10 years. Things hadn't been great between her and I for 4 or so years, but I was in denial, and I'd just been sitting in a slowly deteriorating relationship that had far past its viable lifetime. I'd been contemplating leaving for a few months, but then 3 weeks ago I found out she'd been going elsewhere to get her needs met when I'd been in the depths of depression. That lovely, male, mid-20s, sad that many of us go through that from what I've heard, just prior to the time things started to go south between us. I should have seen the signs, but I was too busy trying to keep my head above water. I never missed a day of work during that time, started going to therapy and managed to win the battle against deleting myself, largely alone. barely in hindsight, and this is probably better, however, and inevitably built my resilience more. On reflection, I am not totally blameless in this. I came close to cheating during my lowest point, and had what I guess you could say was a sort of emotional affair with another lass who was heavily into me. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, right? Here's the separation. If your missus knew about that, she would class that as cheating. You don't, because you're a man. Alright? Put it this way, lads, hobbyists who are listening to this video, answer this to me truthfully if you can. Okay? If your woman had feelings for somebody else, you'd be upset, right? If your woman had slept with somebody else on a one-night stand that meant nothing, would you be more or less upset? I would be more upset by the one-night stand. I'm going to be honest with you. Right? It is a possessive male thing. Like, we are very much like, it's inbred in us. Like, we don't want to be stuck with another man's kids. It's literally in there, right? There are stepdads out there, good ones as well. I mean, I would be one if I had a missus that I had really nice kids. I'd be like, yeah, no problem, you know. But I'm making that decision. It's when somebody else sleeps around and has a kid that's not yours, that you're then forced to bring up. That's the issue. That's the fear. Whereas with a woman, and I thought this was incredibly interesting. I've got a friend of mine, Louisa, and she does. Sorry for name dropping you, Louisa, but she does psychology, and she's done evolutionary and all sorts of different things that have gone on from human history. And I said, you know, why is that? Why do women care more about a man emotionally cheating than him just getting his jollies elsewhere once? And she said, look, listen. But we've been hardwired, ingrained to need a man around us to look after us. We don't need them anymore, but we did when there was like saber-toothed tigers and shit running around, and other tribes running around who were going to kill us all. Right? We needed to keep our man around. It's the very same reason why when you have a baby, most of the time, your baby looks like the man, to keep him around. So we are hardwired to be more threatened by another woman emotionally pulling our man away than a man getting a one-time jolly somewhere else. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was an interesting point that she made. So, if you've done that to your woman and you've gotten emotional support from another woman, that's basically like her sleeping with another guy, right? I'm not defending her. I'm just saying, if you told her about this, she's probably thought, well, he cheated on me first, so it is what it is, dude. As she was supportive AF when I needed it, and this probably contributed to me having the issues in my relationship, as in the girl that you emotionally cheated with. Okay, fair enough. But I tried to be a faithful partner and always have been, but I just ignored the issues in my relationship for years rather than face up to them and have a hard conversation. You hopefully have some good advice to insert here relating to this that will help others, perhaps how to approach such a conversation, as I didn't have a clue. I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I just think the relationship was over. I don't think there is anything more to say. After listening to your channel for a while, the instant response in my head when I found out was internally narrated in your voice, "Get her in the fucking sea." For which I thank you greatly. A few years ago, I'd have probably just attempted to ignore it and carried on, miserable. I called her and told her to come back to the house, and told her to get in the sea. That's slightly terrifying that, you know, somebody's actually told her, especially if you use those words, it'd be like, oh my god. You did the right thing, but still. As much the thought has appeared that I'd like to have known sooner, I don't think it could have come at a better time, honestly. I don't reckon I was probably stable enough to take up until recently. On top of listening to the hobby nightmares of guys in similar positions and absorbing your related advice over the past few months, over the last few years, I've been picking up more hobbies and working on myself, probably due to having loads of time due to myself due to being ignored by my missus at the time. A double-edged sword. 40k was a great refuge and rekindled some childhood joy. I built about 3,000 points of Black Templars thus far, and a couple of kill teams of other factions. Okay. See, there is a bit of hobby in there. I will attach some pictures. Oh, dude, yeah, are you that guy? I saw those pictures yesterday. Let me put them up. These are really good models. Let me just put them up. Let me just whack them up here. Here we go. Here we are. So, full Black Templar army. Bang, there you go. For those of you wanting to see models, full Black Templar army on display. There we are. Lovely stuff. Lovely, lovely stuff. I think that's a very nicely painted Black Templars army. Well done to you, sir. That is a lovely Land Raider. I've actually got that Land Raider. I might need to build it. It's a very nice looking Land Raider. Anyway, I'm not going to show the one picture because you've sent loads of different armies, but that one's my favourite. I've taken up woodworking and built many things, including a 40k gaming table. Started playing bass again and started a rock metal band, and we are not far off completing an EP at this point. I also sacked the prune off completely and started meditating. So you also sacked off porn completely and started meditating a few times a week. You tried to do a clever thing there, but you can just say, after a certain amount of time on a YouTube video, you can just say what you mean. It's fine. Good. You look like you got your life in hard order, man. Very well done. Meditation's good. Reading's brilliant. If you like history, go to your local store, your local bookstore, and get yourself a history book based in your favourite part of history and just read it. Literally, man, you're doing so much good for your brain just by expanding it and just learning more stuff. Meditations, I always say it, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is amazing. And there is a really good video on YouTube, by the way, of Joshua Graham from Fallout New Vegas reading Meditations cover to cover. Go and look for it. It's really, really, really good. I've shared it a few times. I'd also been working on processing trauma and buried emotions for a few months. Things I'd been putting off for years, and learning to deal with emotions properly. This is something that I don't think men are ever taught, but I think it is very important based on my recent experience. Okay, cool. In the immediate aftermath of this bombshell, I have taken advice provided by you in previous videos and started taking regular walks. And I've listened to Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, good lad, multiple times, and may I just say, what a fantastic piece of advice that is. What an amazing book. The Enchiridion of Epictetus, was great too. An auto-suggestion after the Book of Meditations. Amazing resources for shifting your perspective on life to a very healthy mindset. Combining that with the correct emotional processing is allowing me to move through this well. I'm also trying to get my in real life social peeps and reps as much as possible. Okay, as you've suggested before. Just chatting to people in the park on my walk so far, I quite enjoy chatting to people that appear not to want to say hello and are off guard by loudly greeting them as I pass. And I am staying off social media and the net as much as possible. Well, the internet can work well, as long as you're going to the right places. The Discord's one good place to go to, our own Discord. YouTube's also pretty good. There's some pretty good advice on there. Be careful not to go down the poisonous rabbit holes of feels bad. That can happen, I've yet to fully get back out socially, but do have some gigs coming up that I will attend, and hopefully go on some more holidays with the lads. I think I'm done with women for a bit though, unless some MILF appears at the pub one night. The dating landscape sounds kind of toxic at the moment from what I'm hearing all over the place. In terms of my hobby, I have a few more purchases to make to finish my army, and I intend to go back and revisit what I've painted so far to add some more detail and grime now that I've finally managed to paint the latest batch of minis up to a level I'm happy with. Dreadnought picture attached, yeah, it's on there as well. And I purchased some stencils for emblems as I hate transfers with a passion. Alright, I'm gonna leave the rest of that because I've already read the rest of it and it's really, really nice, but it's more personal stuff, so I'm gonna leave it there. But thank you very, very, very much for letting me know that you're doing okay. And to be honest with you, it sucks. I know it sucks having things like this happen in life, but you have literally got to win by, I would say, almost by proxy. By just doing good behaviours, you've worked your way through a really challenging part in your life. And this is what I would call a light crisis. It's not really a crisis where, like Pirate Kings, where the entire shit's hit the fan and he doesn't know what to do, right? This is a part of life where it's generally all right. You know, you've hit the wall, it's terrible, it's awful, but you've worked your way through it by adopting good behaviours and going with them in the moment. That's the main thing for you to do, and I'm very, very, very proud that you managed to do it. And I've just realised that is the Age of Darkness box set, is it not? Most of it is, anyway. Anyway, moving on. Charles says, we've had cheese and Charles today. Hi North, you can call me Charles. Long time listener, first time poster with a hobby nightmare from a few years back when I was in college. I collected Warhammer 40,000 models since I could remember, with no particular purpose other than the models being cool and fun to put together. I blame my dad, who brought home a box of Cadian shock troops when he came back from a business trip in the early 2000s. I still have them, although they have since been repainted from their original all-army green levels of painting of a 6-year-old. The models of the Assault on Black Reach, some Tau and Necrons sadly got binned when I was an early teenager. I only started playing the game in 2018, in 8th with Imperial Guard and later on a small Dark Angels force. In my locally, 1 hour away by car from my home, in my locality, 1 hour away from car by my home, at this time were 2 game shops. One official Games Workshop and the other a comic, health, food, gaming shop. With this shop having multiple tables to use for free with no need to book a table. This shop has since closed down and games seem to have limited to 1 a day every 2 weeks in the Games Workshop store at the moment. I have heard some large group that plays games twice a month, but it's late at night. The games that I would play, typically, will be with the same 2 people, due to not knowing many in the hobby, with this only changing when I played in friendly tournaments that will be hosted every few months, or book a slot in the Games Workshop store. One of these players who I kept playing against hoping things would get better always left me feeling shitty afterwards, no matter what pre-game conditions I set. He played Death Guard, and only Death Guard from what I gathered. When it came to army lists and points, they were neither legal or within the 1,000 points that was agreed upon. He would always bring more special weapons than allowed and never account for them in the points of his units, or just bring whole units that pushed him well over the 1,000 points. When questioned, he would get defensive and try and barter, mentioning that he needed the extra points as I brought too many tanks for his Death Guard to handle. I liked taking 3 Lehman Russes as a means of potentially dealing with his unkillable units, since Lasguns did nothing. Okay, this is one of those situations where somebody sees what you can do to them and immediately says, well, I'm just going to, try and, shall we say, fix that, by going outside of the rules. Happens more than you'd think. When it came to the games itself, he was a nitpicker of the rules only when they favoured him, questioning my rules but rebuffing my questions about his. Since I was new to the rules, I didn't use orders or stratagems that often, but when I did, he would want a detailed explanation of what it did, and then argue its wording for ages. Dude, this sounds like a fucking nightmare. Don't play this person again. I know you've said that you've only got 2 people to play against. Bite the bullet, mate. Bite the bullet. Don't play this person again. Bite the bullet, tell him why, move on, and go and play against other people. I know dealing with other people isn't your favourite thing, because you've already mentioned that, but at the same time, man, it's better off just to do it, because there'll be so many cool games out there that you're not having, because you keep playing the same douche, because in your opinion, probably, it's better the devil you know. Do you know what I mean? It's better the devil you know, and I don't agree. I don't agree. You need to get out there, find people you want to play with, because as I say all the time, most of this hobby is finding your opponent. If you're into the gaming side of the hobby, 90% of the gaming side of the hobby is finding a good opponent. That's it. That's 90% of it. Alright. I don't even recall seeing him with his codex rulebook or cards. Thinking back on it, he was always sure of his rules though, and would just say I could look it up or take ages looking up the rule in my rulebook, to the point where I would just say, look, it's fine, and just press on with the game. When I asked how his units had so many disgusting resilience saves and rerolls making his units near unkillable, he would remark that they are Death Guard and they are just that strong at the moment in the rules. When asked to explain these rules, he would make it as hard to follow and vague at the same time. Safe to say, games against him were always a hard-fought slog where I was always tabled in 3 or 4 turns, and with very little of his forces being killed. The last game I played against him, I made a decision to play 100 power level instead of points, as a way of making the game more fair. Since he never accumulated for weapon points in his lists, he even broke this by bringing maybe another 20 or 15 power level of units against my infantry Dark Angels force, only telling me of how much power level he had brought after I mentioned how many models he had on the table, as I had my suspicions of what was going on. When asked how that was fair, he huffed and puffed, faffing around trying to decide what to remove, wasting time till I decided to just not care and wanted to play the game, since I had lugged around my models for an hour away on the bus and just wanted to get some use out of the hassle. You've caved, dude. This is what I mean. Like, you're in a bad situation. You are a top level gamer. I'm telling you now. Somebody who goes that far will walk for an hour after a bus just to play 40k. You are top tier hobbyist level. That's where you are. This guy's a little bitch who's wasting your time. You're better cutting your losses, dude. Cut your losses and run. Anyway, I deployed my eliminators, the snipers, in his deployment zone to funnel him in and cut down on what he could actually deploy on the table, while hiding all my forces on his turn. On his first turn. In 3 turns, I was near defeat, boxed in, and only capable of killing maybe 1 unit of Plague Marines by that stage. It was truly a last stand type of battle with no hope of victory, as I lost more and more units. But it was kind of fun, since I didn't care about his rules or his army points. My forces were fighting to the last man against all odds, and they were losing with dignity, till I killed one of his new units that he wanted to try out. I think it was a Plague Burst Crawler or an Armiger or something, at which point he got the message on his phone and forgot he had to be somewhere, called me the winner, and packed all of his stuff quickly away and left with very little to say. This guy's a man-child. This guy's a complete man-child. I was left laughing. All the other games he had won, he would hang around even after he was packed and boast and critique either my playstyle or my fully painted army's paint jobs, all while most of his army were bare plastic or just primer. Critique I didn't want or ask for, or neither, and neither made sense or would have actually helped me. Okay, fair enough. Another notable incident involved me getting a message from a family member during a previous game, with my family member asking where I was, how I was getting home, and if I wanted to go for lunch at college. I sent maybe 2 short messages back saying where I was and what I was doing during his movement phase. Max 3 minutes on the phone, maximum. He called what I did unsportsmanlike for not watching him move his models on his turn where I had no input. Dude, this guy's a fucking asshole, dude. This guy's a fucking asshole. Like, cheaters are one thing, right? Little bitches like this. What an asshole. I bet you this guy's an only child. I'm sorry if you're also an only child. I'm sure you're a nice person listening to this. But oh my god. This guy's a spoiled fucking brat. In the same game on his turn, he gets a phone call from his girlfriend. He kept telling me it was his girlfriend. Of course he did. Yeah, sorry, dude. Sorry, it's my girlfriend. Sorry. Did I mention it's my girlfriend on the phone? Yeah, it's definitely my girlfriend on the phone. Yeah, fuck off, dude. You don't have a girlfriend. Inflatable things can't dial numbers. Where he talks to her for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, leaving me to twiddle my thumbs as I wait for him to get back and finish his turn. He didn't get the hypocrisy, as he argued that his call was more important and different. Dude, get this guy out of your life. I'm starting to get annoyed. Shortly after the last game with him, COVID happened, and I lost interest in playing the game, but grew to love kitbashing. I currently have 1500 points, completely kitbashed and painted Imperial Guard Force, with 100 points of it is GW legal. It is only within the last 2 weeks that I am in a position and interested in playing the game once more. Playing my first game in years last week against Death Guard of all things. It was a fun short game of 1000 points, only 3 turns long, where I lost by a single point, but reminded me why I started playing 40k in the first place. The bad taste of 8th edition, I have safe to say, has been washed away. I want to also say thanks, North, for the work and media that you put out. Kind regards, Charles. Good lad. Well, good. Move on from that person and never, ever, ever play them again. A good way of getting back into the swing of things that I've noticed. I've stayed in this mode, by the way, is playing one-page rules. Number one, it's a much easier form of 40k. But it still gets you into the back and forth motion of playing a war game like 40k, and a lot of the rules are very similar, just very much slimmed down, right? Definitely do that. Play one-page rules, but also play a smaller game like Combat Patrol or even Kill Team. That's technically quite complicated in its own way. So Combat Patrol, go and get yourself a Combat Patrol box and play that. Nice simple 40k games to ease your way back into it, and then go and play 40k. If you lose your passion for it, go and play one-page rules and go and play Combat Patrol. And if other people don't want to play you in those games, fuck them off. Try hards, mate. Try hards. Just fuck them off. Right, well, I don't find that game very appealing anymore. Say, I'm not playing a bad game just because it's the most recent one. Guys, I'm not doing it. That's all you need to say. I'm not playing a bad edition of Warhammer 40,000 just because it's the newest one. I'm not doing it. That's all you need to do. Be honest with your friends and be honest with yourself. Your hobby time is incredibly precious. Incredibly precious. Alright? Cultivate, garden, grow like a garden. Grow your hobby sphere. Get people out there that you know you like to play and cultivate those people. Make sure your games with them are really good and really fun if you're enjoying them. Cultivate those people and have fun. If they don't fit your hobby garden, fine. Play them once in a while or not at all. And if you come across a guy like this, dude, play him once and leave. Or even then, stop playing halfway through. Go, listen, man, I'm going to stop here because this is beyond a joke. This is beyond a joke. Like, I'm done, you know? If he's getting a few rules wrong, fair enough, you know? But if it's like this and he's being like a whiny bitch the entire time, and this guy was the kaleidoscope of every bad type of player in 40k, pick up your models and walk. Just walk. I know I had a go at, like, Vanguard Tactics for doing that, but from the video that I was shown of them, they were doing it when their opponent was just getting a few rules wrong, and that's fucking weak. That's fucking weak, dude. Right? Your opponent gets a few rules wrong, and you go, "Oh, I'm picking up my models, man. I'm sorry, no, I can't do this, dude." Fucking. There are more important things in the world going on than your little game of toy soldiers. All right? Who cares? Have some fun. Anyway, Colonel Derek says, or it's Cole Derek. I think it's Colonel Derek. All right there, North. Derek here. Long time and suffering Games Workshop manager with a load of tales in my brain and nowhere to put them. So I guess here will have to do. I've been with the company for almost 20 years now and I've loved mostly every minute of it here. It's a shame that you went through what you did here, That really sucks, and you are far from the only one to go through something like that. It may seem like you shouted into a vacuum when talking about it all those years ago and since, but trust me, you weren't. There were more than a few people here having a chuckle and a wry smile as they've been through the same thing, and most of them leave pretty quickly when earmarked by headquarters in Nottingham as problematic and someone who asks too many questions. Yeah. These tales cover some of the worst customers I've ever come across in my time as a manager. Your video last week about the worst types of customers really got me thinking about my own experiences running the store. I have dozens of stories, so I may send some in more in the future, but these all happened to me and no one else. They aren't anecdotes or second-hand stories. They all happened just to me. I'll even number them too, as you said you enjoyed a good list, like all older nerds tend to do. Yeah, good lad. Old nerds love a good list, mate. We love a good list. Right, number 1. Jane. Jane was what I term, as a Games Workshop manager, and I quote, running mum. She's quite physically fit and very easy on the eye. The issue was that she'd always wear a little too much makeup, as she was basically a pretty nerd underneath all of that stuff, but wanted to cover it up. If you want to know what she looked like, she essentially looked so much like Naomi from Sword and Steel, the YouTube channel, that when I first viewed that channel, I thought Jane must have her own store somewhere, and she hasn't been telling me. Alright, that's pretty hot. That's pretty... Sorry Naomi, if you're watching. Don't picture yourself in this story. It's going to make you feel weird. Anyway, Jane was looking for a dad for her son. Jesus Christ. Jane was looking for a dad for her son who frequented the store. I'd often think that her son would stop by for models and Jane would stop by for men. There was only one she really had her eye on though, as the pickings in the store were quite slim. Me. Now, I'm not a Brad Pitt lookalike or anything, but I've done okay through life when it comes to women. Take from that what you will. And usually, I'd be happy with the attention and could even act on it if the winds were favourable. This was complete desperation. It was like watching a drowning woman cast about for anything to keep her afloat, and that at that point in life, that was not me. One day, I was sorting out a game board whilst Jane came in looking for something for her lad on her lunch break. The store was empty at this point on a Tuesday. Instead of walking behind me to get past towards the cash register, she slalomed in front of me in the half a foot of space between me and the table, her back to me, her arse rubbing the front of my jeans as she made her way to the cash register. Oh my god. I just know there's a lot of blokes out there who are like biting their knuckles at this point. I am not going to lie, I was in a bit of a dry spell after a bad breakup, so very nearly caved. I just want to see like somebody's parents come in and you've got this woman bent over the table. Dearie me. Instead, I mastered the half-mast in my pants and walked awkwardly over to the till and rang through her order, clearly flustered. Jane teased me for going red and walked out with her models. This went on for months until Jane finally stopped coming to the store. By that stage, my blue balls were very grateful. My god, the discipline you must have had to... You must have gone home and flogged the log. You must have just been... You must have been like Rimmer from White Dwarf. Just with a hammer, just hammering it. Just, fucking bastard! When you go home. Anyway. Number 2. Boris the Charmer. So, in my area, private school kids are the worst. Especially when they rebel against their normally conservative parents whilst at university and return home for breaks. Boris was one of those. An absolute waffler who who would head in and bemoan about what Games Workshop had done to him this week. Every release was wrong. Every piece of lore was terrible. All of it needed to just go away. He would actively turn off other customers who were just wanting to look at a few cool models. When finally I snapped and asked him one day why he was there if he hated the entire hobby so much, he said, and I quote, "I don't hate the hobby, I hate you lot." Alrighty then. This was not the end, of course. Soon, his dad came to the store, demanding to know why I had upset his son. Boris had not seemed upset when he had insulted me a few days prior, and I wasn't really angry when I'd asked him the question either. It was more of a jokey ask, rather than anything else. So, I explained the situation. Only to have this posh, dog-walking wanker tell me that my customer manner was a disgrace, and that he would be lodging a complaint with the head office. He did, and they called me. At this point, I had been at the company for over a decade without a single complaint and steadily rising cash flow of customers. I explained to them what had happened, and they just sighed and said that this happens from time to time with certain members of our community, but I needed to handle it better. I asked them if this was a verbal warning, and they said no, it's just some friendly advice. Thankfully, I only saw Boris twice after that before he moved away, but each time he had a beaming and sneering smile on his face as if he had gotten one over on me. I just grinned and bore it until he left. Dude, that is the worst situation. That's the worst. Because you're trying to keep your head down as a GW manager. You're trying your best to just keep your head down and keep this job that you love without any stress, especially if you're somebody like you who's already seen other managers being pummeled and browbeaten out of the company for the nail that sticks out gets hammered. You know what I mean? You're trying to keep your head down, and you get a customer like this who knows now that he got head office onto you once, and if he does it again, you might be in trouble. Fuck customers like this, dude. Fuck them, honestly. And don't fuck them in the way that you want to fuck Jane either. I mean, like, actually just get them out your store the second you can. The second you can. Number 3. The Gardener. A short one this time. Outside my store are several hedges that line a park. It's a beautiful place, but comes with its drawbacks. One day, I was dusting at the back of the store and cleaning the back area for a delivery I had coming in, as it was a Thursday. I heard one of those rustling sounds that you kind of just dismiss, as I had my headphones in, as it was my lunch break even though the doors were unlocked. The guys outside are probably cutting the hedges again. One sound though perks my ear, as it seems very loud. It is a rustling, it's a very loud rustling sound, and a slam. I turn around, and a fucking tree has landed in my doorway. Only the fact that it was just the branches and leaves that hit meant the door was not completely shattered, but both doors were now forced open, although thankfully, as I said, it was my lunch break and they were not locked, so they went with the pressure. I audibly mouthed, "What the actual fuck?" After another rustling sound, a dishevelled and short gardener appears in the branches like Frodo fucking Baggins. Sorry about that, mate," he said. "Wow, this place is pretty cool." I offered to help him removing his tree from my entrance. That's the most English story I've ever heard. I love it, yeah. Number 4, Alison the Stripper. You really do have it bad at your store, don't you? Again, this is like 20 years, I suppose. Alison the Stripper. Alison Brie is pretty fine. We all know that. Dude, if Alison Brie came to your fucking store, I swear to God, I might die of jealousy. Don't tell me that, please. Okay. Well, on a Thursday gaming night, I had the typical prank pulled on my store that a lot of stores get from time to time, although it is quite rare, it does happen. One of our regulars, Steve, was celebrating his 21st birthday with his friends, and they were gaming at the tables. Apparently, they were heading out that weekend, so fun was being had, as Thursday, today, was his actual birthday. And then, in walked what I can only describe as the hottest traffic warden I had ever seen. Respectfully dressed, an Alison Brie lookalike. I'm panic over. An Alison Brie lookalike. I was well into glow at this stage, and I asked her if she needed any help. She asked for Steve, and I pointed him out. She walked over and read him his car registration, asking him if the car was his. He was white, obviously dreading his birthday being ruined by his vehicle getting clamped or something. Then someone else came into the store, a lady with a portable stereo. Weird. This is brilliant. A lady with a portable stereo. Weird. At Alison's cue, the most glaringly obvious stripper music starts up, and Alison whips off her top in one swift motion, showing her very tasteful bra underneath. For fuck's sake, I'm off. There are some Games Workshop managers that are just lads, and I just love it. For fuck's sake. I'm mouth. I may be a Games Workshop manager, but I am not spoiling this for the lad. She's that hot. Dude, you're a legend, man. I tell them to take it into the back, and 10 minutes later, they are coming back in to a round of applause from the raucous customers. I could have gotten sacked for this, and to be honest, I only did it because I was well aware at this point that I was part of the Games Workshop furniture and that no families would be in the store, because this was 9 PM on Veterans Night. I swore the lads in the store to silence. They accepted, and we had a good night. Alison apparently worked in the local area, because every time she walked past the store from then on, she'd wave at me cheerily. She's a tattoo artist now down the road. I will send in some more soon. Cheers, North. Derek, mate, do so. Do so. That was brilliant. I love that. That was great. That was so funny. I've heard of one similar story from somebody else at Games Workshop, but he told them to leave, like he got rid of them. You are an absolute bro, man. You're a bro. Well done to you. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more. Well, there'll be a 40k rant tomorrow. What is it tomorrow? What am I doing tomorrow? Let me just have a little look here. I do have in my schedule. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, tomorrow it's Xenos. They never get any love, and that's a crime. So if you're a Xenos player, I'll see you tomorrow, because I'm going to give them some love. Finally. And we will analyse quite why they don't get as much love as they perhaps deserve. We'll see. And on Friday, obviously, we will have some Hobby Nightmares once again. So, love you a long time. I will see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a good one. Bye now.